Friends, countrymen, hello. I'm gonna pin a comment right now. Welcome to Between Two Nerds. That is a beautiful sound. That is a beautiful sound. All right, hello, guys. Welcome, Brian, Daniel, JP Karliak, Ivy, Courtenay Taylor. We're all here.
I'm watching this.
Guys, it's been kind of a day, but we're all here, ready to relax with our guest.
We are blessed with the spirit.
Too blessed to be stressed, as a famous voiceover actress would say. Hi, Mom. You're somewhere in there, I'm sure. Hi. Okay, Amy, what's up, girl? Loving those sassy ass comments, so I hope you're going to bring some today. If you guys are just joining us for the first time, this is Between Two Nerds. We are your source for voter registration information and news with a healthy dose of chats and vicious gossip from your favorite notable nerds. Today, your awesome guest, our awesome guest, is the super cool, hold on, I'm seeing if he's here yet, because he's not.
Well, great, because we have things to talk about.
What do we have to talk about, JP?
Well, everybody, first of all, it's important that you register to vote, but also it's important that you support the post office, because in case you haven't heard, the post office is in danger. So in addition to the action items that we've been telling you to do, of buying scams and purchasing from the post office and contacting your representatives to make sure that the post office remains funded, we also want to make sure that you remember that when you get your absentee ballot, make sure that you apply for one, that you mail it back early, because there is no telling how long that ballot might take to get in. So make sure that you allow 2 weeks prior to Election Day, which is November 3rd, to make sure that ballot gets in and gets counted.
Yes, and we will be talking in the next couple of weeks more about that. So if you haven't gotten your absentee ballot yet, or your vote by mail ballot, if you want to apply for those things, please do it now. So important to get it done early. And don't freak out. We're going to make sure that those ballots get in.
Yep.
Now, we are going to have a very calming and relaxing talk with one of the most chill, zen, kicked back dudes we know. You know him as Spider-Man in Marvel's Spider-Man, Prompto in Final Fantasy 15, and Akichi in Persona 5, the fantastic, the beautiful, the talented, the amazing Robbie Daymond. He's going to jump on in just a second. Yay!
Connecting.
Yay!
We're doing it.
Internets, waiting, connecting. There he is! Woo!
You guys should vote! Everybody should vote!
See, I told you guys it was going to be super zen.
I told you it was supposed to be low key, right? That's what they told me.
Super chill. Super chill.
Good. Hi guys, how are you? I'm trying to figure out where to be. Are you on an iPad on a music stand?
Yes! This is where I keep him.
That's where I'd keep him too.
Yeah.
Don't let him inside the house.
You do not get, he spends another night in the box, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys?
From Pee-wee's Playhouse. I just live in the box and I'm fabulous.
Mm-hmm. And every once in a while I go, no, just kidding. I don't. I go like this.
Yeah.
I'm crushing your head like a little mushroom. You guys would not know that because you're too young. Guys, if you have questions for Robbie Daymond, you can go ahead and hit the little question box below. It's much easier for me to see them if you put them in the question box than into the feed. I don't know. Whatever. The chat, sure. Whatever you want to call it. Let's just cover the bases here. Everybody loves you, Robbie. So if you put that into the chat, he knows. He can see the chat as well. And by all means, if you want to address anything in the chat, Robbie, please go ahead. Where are you? Are you in like your closet or a cave?
I'm in my booth. Do you want to see? Yeah, well, I mean, it's my voice.
Yeah.
My voice.
Where does the magic happen?
This is my microphone. This is my setup. Well, I've got all my stuff. It's a booth. I built a booth. It's in my home. It's in my studio. It's in my office. Yeah.
It's very dark, which I like. It seems
Is it too
mysterious
dark?
and
Is it
it
scary
looks.
dark?
It's a little scary dark.
Really?
But only good things come out of there.
I can go outside. I can open the.
No, that's okay. It's a very. The face is beautiful. You've got a nice dark background. It just looks a little like, like.
It's called mood lighting. It's called mood lighting. It's how I like to record.
That's right.
I've got alternating colors. The colors alternate for me. I can hypnotize myself into not thinking we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's great.
You are like all the cool 17-year-olds I know with the alternating lights.
Double that,
Yes.
and add 5.
Mm-hmm. Got it. How are you? How are you staying sane besides the back cave?
Well, I have a 2-year-old, so that helps.
A 2-year-old helps you stay sane. Oh, yes.
During these times when you're like outside of work, you're searching for something to do to feel human. That helps a lot. And she's at that age right now where she's now really physically capable, yet has zero risk aversion. So you're just constantly, you're like a shortstop in a baseball game, just waiting for something, for the ball to come to you. So
that's right. Your thigh muscles are super built up now from the crouch.
Yeah, my quads are monstrous. No, things are good. I've been working pretty steadily. I think it took the industry maybe a few weeks to catch up, but now everything's going from video games, animation, everything's really caught up. So I would say I'm working now more than ever. I have a theory why. I think that casting can't cast a wider net now, to maybe do like celebrities or stunt casting or maybe untested sort of unknown people. They need,
what are they going to record with?
Exactly. They need to know there's somebody who's going to get the job done, that has the setup. I think that's my little pet theory about why I think bookings have been good lately for those of us who are sort of the 9 to 5 day in day out full-time voiceover people. So I do think that is it. But yeah, I'm locked in this room from 9 to 6 pretty much every day. So try to stay sane. I hope you guys are good. You look like you're both in pleasant places, not in a dungeon. Are you outside?
Me? Or
Yeah.
you? No, I'm in my dining room. I just have a beautiful thing back here, like a little screen that covers the mess.
Natural lighting. I like it. Yeah.
This is just my natural. This is just my window lighting. But of course, it took me like 17 hours to find the spot in my house.
Of course.
So that I wouldn't be like.
Yeah.
And JP, are you in your gaming chair? Where are you?
I usually do this from the dining room, but the plumber came by today, and I wanted to save the audience from having to hear a plumbing snake going. So I'm in my room.
That's so nice. That's so nice. Well, we're here. What are we here to talk about? Are we here to talk about, other than just voting nerds, are we here to talk about, do you guys ever talk about politics? Do you guys?
No, we only talk about voting nerds. That's it. We talk about what we're going to wear, what we're bringing to the polls, like what color ink we're going to use. That's all. That's it. No, we talk about all kinds of stuff. So we talk about ice cream. We talk about what kind of food you're eating in quarantine, and just jump in if you like a topic. We do talk about voting, sort of like, do you remember your first time voting, or do you have a funny story? Like JP used to go and pull all the levers for his dad when he voted.
When I was like 5, yeah.
Not when he was like 22. And we just talk about, like, if you have something that you're working on you want to talk about, or your kids, or anything really.
We're just hanging out.
We're just having a Zoom call, and other people are privy to
like it. That's nice.
Like a toilet.
Well, like a toilet? Did someone say like a toilet?
Mm-hmm. The privy is a toilet.
Oh, privy to the information, but also the privy. Yeah. Okay, I missed it.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm a child.
So slow. I think it's the fumes from the foam are getting to me.
We can start off with it. Also, we do take chat questions. And Amy Way Sassy Queen wants to know, where did your username come from?
Robbie Daymond. Listen, probably when they first started Instagram, and I was like, what could I do that sounds cool? And I know I have the option to change it, but no, I like to stick with my choice.
Yeah, you've already used it. I mean, everybody knows it now. You can't take it back.
It's done. It's done and done. Yeah. Ooh, promise vicious gossip. What? Vicious?
Oh, that was me.
What was vicious?
I just said, like, I don't know, like intense, vicious, tea type gossip. I don't know. Talk about, you work with some other lovely young gentlemen. You can, beverages. I mean, spill some tea.
Here's the problem. There's no tea to spill. I love them both like my brothers. They are the two of the most boring individuals. No, seriously. I think Ray's ideal night would be like just at home with a Hemingway novel and his dogs and his wife. That's it. I think he's just waiting to become an old retired hermit. And
pretentious prat is what he is.
He is, but he's also one of the world's best humans. And then Max, I just had a socially distant hangout in his backyard like last weekend. Yeah. We had a little pool time. We stayed away from each other. It was just really awkward, but which
is great because Max is so averse to physical contact anyway.
Listen, maybe you know that better than I.
Oh yeah, no.
I've tried.
You like walk up and try and hug him, and he's like, "Please don't." I always thought it was me, but I guess it's everybody.
No, they're both pretty good boys, so they're not the best for tea because there's none to spill. Well,
let's ask this question then, Robbie. If through some natural disaster we were left with only 3 choices for President of the United States, you, Ray, or Max?
Oh, me, 100. Listen, and it's not just I'm biased. You want me 100%. You want me. You're gonna need me in there. I got creative solutions. I'm addicted to politics. I'm your man. I'm your guy. They're both great. I feel like Max would run the budget into the ground. I feel like Ray would go full libertarian. There just wouldn't be a government. It would be Mad Max. I don't know. Hard to say.
Would you consider them for cabinet positions?
I would make Max Secretary of Treasury, and I would make Ray. I would make Ray an admiral just because he has no military experience, and I'd like to put him on a boat. That's it.
An admiral, Ray?
Yeah, I just make him an admiral. Yeah, I'm the president. I can do whatever I want, right?
I'm
pretty sure that's the rules.
This is why we want you for president, is because you say things like that.
Well, you say president to start, dictator
right?
To fall.
Right.
Yeah,
authoritarian later on. Sure.
Yeah, right.
On your fourth term.
I want to burn it all down. I want to dissolve the government. But you should totally vote though. Totally. This is called Nerds Vote. Totally vote. The system works. I promise.
We do believe in democracy.
That's right. And this is why we are not having Robbie Daymond as president, y'all.
I do believe in a representative democracy. I believe in that. I think you should vote. I think your vote is important. These are strange times, though. It's very weird. It's hard not to feel devalued as a citizen, both by like what our own actions are and then the actions of the people that we've chosen to represent us. It's a really weird time, but our only ammunition, I really still believe that, is voting. Like I get so sick of hearing California people or already locked states on a federal level go, my vote doesn't matter. And I was like, yeah, well, I think that's the problem with everything that we're going through in the country right now, is that it's been that way for too long. Our turnouts are abysmal. Our system is broken. I mean, you see what's going on with mail-in voting and voter suppression and all of these sort of things that are so bizarre to think that we've been sort of the bastion and representative of a democratic free society, supposedly, like that's what's on the packaging, right? And yet we participate one of the worst. We're one of the worst, if not the worst, of actually participating in our own democracy. So, you know, and then we just get on Twitter and kind of bitch about it. So I think that's sort of a weird, the weird dichotomy of being American is we value our democracy, and then that we also kind of just don't give a shit. And the older I get, and the more I watch sort of the world evolve through a set of more, you know, mature eyes, is that it's so strange. Especially with this pandemic, I'm leaning more and more toward maybe we don't give a shit, and the way that we handle things, and it's such a bummer. And which is why grassroots stuff like this, of reaching out to, whether it be, you know, a couple hundred people at a con, or a couple thousand, or 30 online right now, if you can inspire a handful of them to get out and really do their part as a citizen, that's way more than most people. Most people just talk shit on social media, and it's not enough. It's not enough. You guys are doing something, which anytime you've asked me to do something is when, and I was able to. I'm always helpful, or glad to help out in whatever small way that I can. So
yeah, it's very much appreciated, because that's what we built this on, was the idea that if we could have conversations with people whose work we admired, that you would conceivably kind of change the way you feel about voting. And it's really not just about just voting. It's about, like anything else, you know, you put your money in, but you watch, you know, you play the game, and it's like there's this idea that, like, if you actually do go and vote, that's all you need to do. And really, in this time of social media, it's so incredible to me that we have so much access to our representatives through social media. They're all, I mean, look at now, Twitter is like basically how we get our news.
yeah,
And you can reach out and actually tag people. You can talk to representatives. You can, you know, you can call their offices. You can call them anytime. You can text them. There's so many different things. And yet people are kind of like, yeah, this is hard. And it's like, it's not hard to keep in touch with your reps. You can literally just at them.
no, you can have.
So that, I think, is a really important thing, because, you know, people think, oh, every 4 years I got to pick a president. I missed it. Oh, well. But there's so many other things. There's local and state level elections that absolutely affect you in ways that are right outside your front door. They literally are your front door if you're a homeowner. You know, infrastructure, roads, traffic, public transportation, schools. Even if you don't have kids, schools affect crime rates. You know, who's, you know, when you go to the pokey, who's the judge that's going to send you there? These things are important.
Well,
I love poke.
Yeah, who doesn't, right? I hear it's great. It's great.
I always talk about the pokey. He is horrified. I have a longer rap sheet than he does. So.
It's become the running gag that Courtenay mentions her record every 2 or 3 episodes.
It's been expunged.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And,
so, Robbie, do you have a favorite voting method? You know, without necessarily getting into who you voted for, but
you can if you want to. You can talk about anything you want.
Talk about it. Do I have a favorite what?
The weirdest polling place you've ever had, or what your voting habit is currently now, in terms of how you tell.
My polling place where I live right now is literally down the street. Like, I could throw it's at someone's house in their garage, old school, and I could literally throw a baseball.
Hey, that's a thing. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's in my neighborhood, and it's great. So I don't vote by mail. I do all my voting because I just like, oh, it'll be nice. I'll walk down the street and see the neighbors. Even though I believe that voting by mail is very important if you need it. So yeah, I wish it was that easy for everyone, but unfortunately, is not. Like, you guys see you see the lines of people waiting 6, 8, 10 hours. Strangely, typically in disenfranchised people of color neighborhoods, who weird, never would have saw that coming. But yeah, I think that is such, you know, I'll backpedal because I was kind of just blaming the populace, but you know, you say it now, we should be doing, as a government, we should be doing everything we can to encourage voting. Like, where is that, not propaganda is the wrong word, but like, where is that push that I feel like used to be there? Where is the get out the vote movements that are more widespread And I feel like as the years have gone by, even since I was a kid, you've just seen the importance of it drop off and off and off. And they're trying to protect this imaginary integrity of voting, like with things like voter ID and all these things that are actually suppression movements, that are so clearly suppression movements and it starts at local government. It starts from gerrymandering. It starts from redrawing all of the local districts to match up with the political alignments right down the middle of people's neighborhoods. So it's really bizarre that we've got this voting system that is so disproportionately swayed one way or the other, depending on who's already in charge. And that's a real problem. Like, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have. So when I look at my polling place, I go, well, that's so easy. If it were that easy for everyone, if you were to wake up on a Tuesday and go, oh shit, that's right, today's the day. I'll go down to Bob and Mike's house. And you go down there and you Bob and Mike, yeah. And you fill it in. That's not really who lives there. I was just making names up. And you fill it in and you're back home in an hour. Who wouldn't do that? But if you're a single mom with 3 kids or a single dad taking care of your uncle or whatever, you have real life responsibilities, and you're saying take the day off to go do this, it's so strange to me. It's so counterintuitive to what America stands for. The fact that our major voting days aren't just national holidays. I mean, that, we're celebrating 400-year-old dead guys, but we're not. You have to call in sick to go vote. It's really bizarre to me. But that being said, that's why you have to prioritize it. So.
Well, and also, do some research too, because some places do allow early voting, and you have to look and see, this now requires, because it's not as easy as you have it in your neighborhood, in many places, you got to put a little time and effort into thinking about how you're going to do that. We talk a lot about, making a voting plan. And if that voting plan is that you're going to have to go to a polling place, that look in advance, make sure that you have, if I'm going to go in person, I don't care if they don't need an ID. I'm bringing my ID. I'm bringing my phone charger. I'm bringing a snack, some water, something so that I'm as comfortable as possible while I can be there. And I'm also going to check and say, like, where am I going to park? Or can I carpool with somebody? Maybe not in the pandemic, but, to make it easier, make sure that the hours haven't changed, because now what's happening is that hours are also being shortened. It used to be the polls were open till 8 or 9. Now it's 5 or 6. And again, that can be construed as limiting voting hours, which gets back to the whole thing about, like, if your vote wasn't important, they wouldn't try and take it away. They wouldn't try and minimize it. They would make it easy because nobody would care. So if you look at what's happening in the world today, and not just in America, that you have to want to vote, and you have to want to get that information beforehand and be ready, no matter who you're voting for. This is where Americans, and we left, we broke away from England in order to have something like this, where, we have a country that we get to decide how it's run. And that means not only voting, but getting out there and speaking your voice in whatever way you can. Some people protest, some people make appointments with their representatives, some people just, use the internet. But we have this wealth of information and this wealth of access, and this wealth of plan Bs if somebody tries to stop you from voting. Mm-hmm. So please take that into consideration when you guys are voting this year and every year, because
I want to throw out, we got a question in the chat. Sorry, I'm typing in response to them while I'm doing this. Rit Wit writes, do you guys know of any well-informed, unbiased websites to learn about the candidates and what their platforms are? I'm just posting in the chat. Ballotready.org is an organization that we have just started partnering with, and they're amazing. They're an aggregator of all sorts of information and news articles and platforms from the candidate's own website. Basically just outline, like, this is what everybody's about. They're nonpartisan. You can get a very unbiased opinion about everybody. And this also goes for ballot measures and propositions. They're awesome. they definitely do federal and also statewide, and even at a certain level of
Local.
population, they do local elections. They might not get all of the little rural elections, but at the very least, you can find out about the major candidates in your area and in your state.
They're updating it all the time. They're amazing, this group of people. They are like 24/7 pumping in all that information. And they're trying to get almost everything done at the beginning of like the first week of October, I think they should have like everything. So, and the great thing is you can use it on your phone. And so you can kind of, have that in hand when you go to vote. So they're an amazing, amazing organization. Please check them out, ballotready.org.
Robbie, to get back to something you were mentioning earlier, about how we used to be very much in the mindset of get out and vote, and there was just sort of like a pride of getting people out there to get to the polls. I think at some point, and this is, without trying not to get partisan about this, but at some point there was a realization by some people that the more people that turn out benefits one group, and the more people that don't turn out benefits another group. And it's such an unfortunate thing that people are, instead of jumping on if my group isn't appealing to the masses, so that the more of them that turn out, the less well I do, then I need to look at what I'm bringing to the table. As opposed to that, they're saying, well, I just want less of those people to vote.
Yeah, well, I think the further either party swings to the ideological extreme of one side or the other, the more you have to appeal to your base. And I think a lot of these voters that aren't necessarily have something like a voting plan, or they're not already voting, if you can get more of them to turn out and less people to turn out, who aren't necessarily on quote unquote the other side, but who are in the middle or in a demographic that doesn't fit your base, then that is a fundamentally a good political move, even though, in my opinion, it's morally debased. Like, you should be representative of what your voters are. And when you're suppressing any group of people, whether it be right or left, because you don't think they align with your political base, then you're doing a disservice to your electorate as a whole, which unfortunately has been a political tactic that's been going on since forever, but in modern times, in our lifetime, since really gerrymandering sort of took off in the last 30 to 40 years. Like, we've been gerrymandering for a long time, but it's gotten to the point now where sort of this congressional district redrawing stuff that's done that's done in a local and a congressional level is so pervasive that it's crushing all kinds of groups. And now that you can't really gerrymander any further down to splitting streets up in neighborhoods, now you've got to go, well, the battle lines are drawn. Now we got to get less and more soldiers on the field, and that means if you know that you've got to win a key district or a key area or a certain number of electorates for the presidential election, you have to not get those people to vote. And unfortunately, certain things that are pushed forward under the guise of integrity for elections are really just meant to be voter suppression. Once you look at the raw data, it's really simple. And I don't mind partisan because this isn't my channel, but there's a definite move on the right to use the voter integrity, like mail-in ballots, like voter ID, to foist those ideas and go, well, of course, on paper it's like, well, if you're going to vote, well, why don't you have an ID? You got to have an ID. Go down and buy a pack of cigarettes. Just bring your ID with you. And not everyone has that. And if you're registered to vote, there's a lot of different things that it's problematic in the sense that it's so clear in what it's doing, but it's a great argument. It's a great argument. It's a totally great argument that you could just say, yeah, sure, why not? But that's not what it's there to be. That's not why it's there to be created. It's there for voter suppression, period. I mean, if you don't have a tactical or political mind, you could just look at it and go, yeah, why do we need the post office anymore? And it's like, yeah, because there's a lot of reasons. And this using defund. Do you know how wildly politically corrupt it is to put in someone in charge, the Postmaster General, who is a crony to the president, and then slowly dismantle it and take away funding and make something that was already having trouble even worse, and then use their flaws to devalue a version of voting that is very important to a lot of people. It's just so wildly corrupt and so wildly obvious that you just go, it feels it. So I wish that wasn't the case, but it works. It sure does work. It's unscrupulous, but it works. So yeah,
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. Both parties should be doing everything they can to have more people vote, not less. But that's not the way you hold on to power, unfortunately. Yeah. Sorry, was I talking too real? I'm sorry. But like,
nope, you talk real talk all day long.
Yeah, it's real simple. You just in order to disenfranchise people and to maintain power, you have to make sure stupid people stay stupid, and you do that by taking away their funding to education, and you do it by taking away their upward mobility socially. You keep people in prison. We have the highest prison population of any developed nation. You keep them sick. You keep them subservient to the economy, because if everyone were happy and healthy, then we wouldn't need the government, and you wouldn't need entitlement programs if certain basic things were provided by the government that they should be, while ignoring things like the military-industrial complex, which is just corporate welfare. It sounds complicated and creepy, but in the end, it's really not. It's just people protecting their resources. And this country...
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah.
We've had a system in place of disenfranchisement for centuries. And like any bureaucratic model, it starts out simple, and you have to build layer upon layer upon layer on it to make it continue to function. So we are so deep on so many levels, and people are under the impression, I mean, and this goes for voter suppression, this goes for just racial injustice, this goes for the prison complex that you're talking about, like it goes so deep that people are like, well, we can't change it, it's just the way it's always been. A, no, it has not, and B, there is a way to find a different system. We're just so used to it that we're like, well, now you're making me nervous that you're going to unmake the world. It's like, no, we're going to make it better. We just need to change some things.
Yeah. I completely agree. The problem is that we already tapped into that. I think that we tapped into a lot of the I think we tapped into a lot of that need for change, that anger, that, that's what Trump ran on, but it's also what Obama ran on, was change. And it's always what the candidates want to run on when your people are already disenfranchised. So, which in general we are. As long as the rich continue to get rich and the poor continue to get poorer, you'll always have a candidate that will be able to run on change, regardless of what that platform is, left or right. And I voted for Obama, but I also voted for Bush way back in the day. Sorry, but like that was my first vote ever, was Republican. Sorry, So it's one of those things where you go, okay. So yeah.
Well, I like what you're saying though, is that you obviously went, from one side to the other, and you can change, you can adjust, you can learn new things, and it can change your outlook. So you're not just constantly voting on party lines. You're not voting on just straight down the ballot.
Yeah.
Just, you have to always be, the hard thing is with voting and with trying to change things, is that if somebody's running on change is possible versus I can change everything, that's the difference, is because everybody has to work towards change, and it takes energy. It takes energy to get out and vote. It takes energy to research these things. It takes everybody getting together, and it's exhausting. And a lot of people are just like, man, I just want somebody to fix it. And that, what we're talking about is how deep those flaws go. It cannot be fixed by one person. It has to be fixed for all of us. We all have to jump in and do this together. And it starts with voting, but it doesn't end there.
Yeah, I think that's the movement. I think that's why what you guys are doing is so nice, is because you don't scream into the void. You don't yell at the side that you don't appreciate. You don't, you're just saying vote, whatever side you want to vote for, vote. And I think that's it's a really powerful message. And it's all we can do right now for the normal individual, but then you can do more whenever you want. So, yeah.
And just educate yourself. I mean, the reason, and Disney Fangirl asked, are we afraid to talk about politics? And I think that's directed to us, because I think Robbie's not. NerdsVote is affiliated with voter registration groups that are nonprofits. And so when we start getting partisan, it threatens those things. You can totally follow us individually, and you will definitely see that we are not afraid to talk about our own politics. But what NerdsVote does is really encourage people just to get educated and do the thing, right? So not just phone it in, just sit down with some friends if you want to, divvy things up, look, talk, do the research, and then go and vote. And if you do that and you have empathy and you're a good person, I believe you will make great choices. And so that's why we don't talk about it as much, but obviously our guests are welcome to do so.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about politics, but a lot of people have differing opinions. Honestly, I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in a very conservative, small, sort of ethnocentric town where I was one of, a handful of any kind of person of color. And, that's the world that I grew up in. And it informed my politics when I was younger. And I meet people all over the country and the world who sit on all sides of the political spectrum. But in the end, most people just want the same thing in the States. And that's the freedom to provide for themselves and their family and some form of upward mobility. That's it. That's it. I think that's all people want. And I can sit down with a Trump supporter as long as they're, respectful, and we can talk. And I have friends that are on that side of the aisle, and there are things that we agree on that you would never know if you are only ever on Twitter. You'd never know it, because that's the best place to go if you want right side, left side, just plain old dichotomy. Sure, it's fine. But when you usually talk to another person, you go, okay, they go, well, you know what? Obamacare made my family's insurance cost $1,800 a month. And we could sit down there and I go, you know what? I believe that. Let's talk about how your governor implemented that, and how their state implemented the Affordable Care Act. And maybe I could get them to leave a little bit, but I'm definitely going to sympathize with that person if that's something that affected them negatively. When I talk to a friend from the Middle East and they talk about, Obama's drone strike history, it's really hard to argue. It's tough to argue with them. When I talked to my friend who wrote his graduate paper on Guantanamo Bay that never got closed, no side is perfect, but they're also not equivalent. So I also don't want to draw false equivalencies where you go, oh, every side's got that. There's one right now a little bit that's undermining democracy a little bit more than the other, but I think people as a whole really just want a chance to be free and to provide for their families, and we might disagree a little bit on how to do those things.
It's kind of like a fan. Do you have your fan, JP? Wave your fan. You don't have your drag queen fan? Okay. Anyway, there's
is it essential to the metaphor?
It kind of, but it's fine. So it's like spokes on a wheel, right? So
Sure.
when you have a single issue voter that's just like, hey, I'm hanging my hat on this one thing, and this is the hill I'm going to die on. There's that completely negates anything else, right? But really what it is like a fan. And he's going to go get his fan from Drive and Drag the other night that we both went to. You look at it and you've got, great, so here's the fan, right? So you've got these spokes that are happening, and there are different Some people are going to be like, hey, I have like pre-existing conditions.
Sure.
So it's going to be that spoke of the fan. It's going to be really important. But then like they don't have kids. So maybe that spoke of the fan is not that big of a deal to them.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got to kind of look at the whole fan and say, overall, what are the things that are going to get me the most of these fan spokes?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just the one, because nobody is getting their first choice. Like nobody gets like anything that ticks all the boxes. But if you can get overall where you're like, hey, I'm going to keep this person accountable for the stuff that I don't like that they do. And I'm also going to be stoked at the fact that they're taking care of my medical, or they're really working for, you know, I have a parent that's on Social Security or who has pre-existing conditions or things like that. Those are the things that are important in my house. Kids, I don't have kids. I know that taking care of kids is important, but is it my number one priority? Not necessarily. I mean, I have other things that, you know, in right in front of me are a bigger deal. So I think it's really important to look at the whole picture, the whole fan, instead of just one spoke. The whole fan, JP. That's when you hold it back up. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that is the flaw inherent in a representative democracy, isn't it? It's that we are not voting on every issue, every measure. We are not a true democracy. We are a republic in which we vote for people to best represent our interests that we feel align with us the best. But if we were a democracy, we'd all be voting online on every, you know, line item on every local city council.
We can barely get through a California ballot. Don't give them any ideas.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But I think the problem with the two-party system is that there are a lot of line item voters. There are a lot of ways to align yourself with this sort of tribalism that inherently divides us. Our forefathers knew this, that a two-party system is the downfall of a representative democracy, period. Eventually, we're going to have to move past it, because I think a lot of people are in the center, and battling over these people and then catering to the right or left is such a dangerous political system, and we've had it for too long. But the problem is that anytime you widen the field, you're usually just damaging one side or the other. Like, you know,
take something we talked about on the show before is, you know, because we've had people that have asked, hey, should I what if I'm interested in a third party? Look, again, we're nonpartisan. Vote for whoever you feel is the best choice. But we will need to say with the caveat that, yes, when you're in a presidential election right now, then yes, voting for a third party is basically just taking away votes from one side or the other, because the third party is such a distant third and is not yet established. Now, that said, our thought is more vote for the party that aligns most closely with what you believe right this minute. And then as soon as that election is done, start volunteering with that third party that most aligns with your beliefs and help to grow that party, so that when we do get, because I mean, when is the last time we had a third party candidate that was really, I mean,
Prospero.
Like, you know,
really got
like, so it really is incumbent upon the people who are like, you know what, I really don't align with either party. I'm somewhere in the middle, or I'm somewhere off, you know, in a different spoke of the fan. You know, then you have to build that party. So when we do get to a presidential election, we have that third candidate who is viable and actually has a chance of becoming president, as opposed to just peeling votes off of one party or the other.
Yeah, I was actually about to say Ross Perot is probably the last that I could think of. You could say Nader, maybe, but
here's the thing with a third-party system: it's not a third-party system is not built on voting third party. A third-party system is, or a multi-party system is built on people rolling up their sleeves in non-presidential election years and getting busy to put that into the voter infrastructure.
Right.
And that means, you know, petitioning, that means starting small. There's a lot of things. So you can't, it's like you can't just throw that pebble in the pond and be like, hey man, you know, I worked for that. You know?
And also you know, it's one thing to say I want an independent or a libertarian or, you know, green or whatever president, but we also need a larger. I mean, we have what two senators who are independents, and just like a small fraction of Congress members who are independents of some kind, or third party candidates. Like, we need people in all levels of government, starting from mayors and city council people and all sorts of that, and all sorts of levels that build up that roster, so that we start having these really powerful, well-respected people who are great candidates.
Viable candidates.
Well, since he's making a really good point too, is that I don't know if I necessarily believe that most people are centrist, but I do believe that a lot of people do lie somewhere in the middle. The problem is even when you have a centrist-ish candidate, a very middling candidate, like I would say most recent, like someone I would say like Obama was. Obama was nowhere near as progressive as everybody thought that he would be. The problem is even when they're a pretty centered Democrat, if they're a Democrat, or quote unquote, they're going to get labeled as the left. And the problem is that's going to move the ticker even further in the other direction. Because the minute that Barack Obama becomes an extreme leftist is the minute that the right gets to move further to the right. That's the real problem, is you've got these labels on people, and then you can continue to label them regardless of their actions. So I think that, yeah. But the point being is you do have to pick some people. I do think that you've got I really like what was the name of the organization you guys are connected with that had all the info on everyone?
Ballotready.org.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great, because it knowing your candidate stops you from just poking holes down the line at the booth. Like, that's not always the way to go, especially for things like local judges, local law enforcement. That stuff's super, super important. And even your state level Congress, stuff like that, your state representatives, super important, because that's going to control where your funding goes. And it's not always down the line. And a lot of the times in California, you might have multiple choices for a certain kind of people. You might have people from the same party or different parties, depending on the position that you're voting for. So I think,
or in primaries for different positions. Yeah,
primaries. Right. That's wildly important, are the primaries. Look what happened in our last presidential primary. I mean, like, look who we got. It happens. Strange things happen.
It's so important to do your research, and that's why we don't talk about, that's why we're not partisan, because there are going to be, I think if you do believe that we have to meet in the middle somewhere, that it's so important to look at those candidates maybe on the other side of the aisle that appeal to you, because it's just a line. And there are going to be people who, I voted cross-party because I liked when the position was for treasurer. I liked what the person was doing, and let me tell you, my rep just got thrown in jail.
The guy you voted for?
No, I didn't vote for him, but the one in my neighborhood, he just got. So and technically he's part of my party. So hey, like, you can always do the individual research, but Deontay, forgive me if I am mispronouncing your name. These are all on our IG Live. If you go onto the little TV icon after, you can watch all of our old episodes, pretty much, like the last 22 of them. So you can check us out later if you have to go. And if you're just joining us, woo, the time is flying. We are here with Robbie Daymond. We are Between Two Nerds, an offshoot of NerdsVote. We are a nonpartisan voter education and information group, and this is Between Two Nerds, where we interview notable nerds about ice cream and voting and politics and
We're
children.
talking mostly politics.
We haven't even gotten to the ice cream question, and I do have to just keep an eye on the time, because I am famous for letting the time run out and having this thing cut off. It's 2:49, so we've got about 6 more minutes with Robbie. If you have questions, throw them in the question box. We have a couple here. How long does it take Robbie to groom himself in the morning? I feel like I know that question.
Look at it. Not long. A full disaster. Oh, thanks, Amari. I appreciate it. I'll ask you the same question, baby.
Oh, it takes Samari a long time. I am sure.
Oh, I know. I've been out with Mari many times. He always shows up looking fresh and smelling great.
It always smells good.
It does smell
See,
good.
there's a little tea.
Amari, I see you. I feel like this question was shade. I'm calling it.
Little shade. Maybe you can drop some tea about Imari.
Listen, I had a session this morning. It's not my fault. I'm sweaty. It was 9 to 1. I threw a hat on. Be nice to me.
It's dark lighting. Guys, we work with what we have.
COVID. This hurts my feelings.
He's probably look. Amari's like, whatever.
Yeah, T-E.
Uh-huh.
Well, since we've talked about it a million times, Robbie, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
My favorite ice cream, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm a caramel kind of guy, or like maybe a pecan praline. That's the way to. You don't like pecans? You don't like pecans? It's okay.
Pecans.
Pecan.
Yeah.
Pecan.
Is that what they say in Missouri?
Where are you from? I don't know. I've lived so many places. I can't remember what anybody says anymore.
No, in Pennsylvania we say pecan, but when I came out here, it's pecan.
I have a British mother, an Australian father, and I'm from San Francisco. We say pecan, darling.
What does the chat say? how do I stay so chill during these crazy times? It's all an act, baby. Mm-hmm. I'm dying on the inside.
You are dying because you know what? You love escape rooms.
I do love escape rooms.
And now what?
What'd you say?
Now what are you going to do? There's actually an online escape room. I was actually thinking of you.
Oh, I hate it all. This is the only online thing I'll do. I don't want to Zoom with you. I barely like you in real life. Not you guys. I'm just talking.
I know he's not talking to me. He's talking to Jake.
I don't want to have Zoom cocktail. I don't want to go to your Zoom baby shower. I'll send you a nice gift. Don't.
Yeah.
No, I'm an extreme extrovert. Mm-hmm. So this is a little bit weird for me. But I'm learning how to funnel that energy into things. I'm doing lots of things. I built a soundproof booth from the ground up in 10 days just so I could do something with my hands, just so I could do this. It's idle hands are the devil's work. Yeah.
I know.
We say pick on. Here in St. Charles, Missouri. Who am I talking to? I'm from St. Charles, baby. Francis Howell High School. What's up, baby? What are the odds? I know you. Who's that handle? I might know
Luke
that.
M3299.
St. Chuck, baby.
Do you guys know each other?
Let's go. Go down.
Did you eat pecans together in high school?
Probably not. Pecans? I don't know. My grandma's from Mississippi. Maybe that's where I got pecans.
My mom is on this stream and she's like, pecan.
Mm-hmm. Is she from New England? Am I still?
No, she's from England.
She's from Old England.
Oh,
she's from ye old blighty.
Yeah. I'm not playing Animal Crossing currently. No, I have $700,000 in rotten turnips, and I just can't turn it back on. It depressed me. 700K.
I have sworn that I will never. I have a Switch, and I've been playing some awesome games, but Animal Crossing will never be on my system.
It's very fun. It's very zen. If you don't want to think about anything, non-competitive. It's pretty cute.
You know, I
non-competitive.
I buy two types of games for my Switch. One are the fun group ones that, like, my partner and I can play with his nieces, and we have a blast. And then there are what he affectionately calls my Amelie games, which are very twee. The graphics are beautiful. It's very relaxing, and so I have my zen games, but I cannot fret over turnips. No.
I'm still trying to solve things in Monument Valley, guys. I don't have time for turnips. Are you still playing Myst? Got your original Sims family. They're all just dead in the kitchen on fire. Do I play Pokemon Go? I did play Pokemon Go, but I'm also Professor Willow in Pokemon Go, so, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Aww.
7 Deadly Sins Season 4 dropped today. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Congratulations.
I'm glad you liked Spider-Man. Thank you so much. See, look.
Nanny Marie is very supportive.
She's
from Australia, so I love her.
I recognize the handle. Hello, Lisa. Hi, thanks for watching. Demir. Oh, hi. I know a lot of these people. My original Sims family is in like Generation 4. That sounds right. Thanks, Roxy. That's so nice.
Luke said he worked with you at Convention World.
Yeah, that sounds right. We did a show at Anime St. Louis, which I thought was in St. Louis, but was actually in St. Charles, my suburban sort of hometown, like 20 miles outside of St. Louis. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it when they do that. When they're like, "Come to fabulous Toronto," and then you're like, "This is 3 hours from Toronto."
We
Oh,
good.
yeah. And they're like,
No,
"Oh, we meant the Toronto airport." Before we picked you up and you took a train and a bus.
That sounds right. Yeah, well, they don't want to know. You're going to get murdered someday, so they don't want you to know where the body's going to be. Not the real.
Probably not in Canada. I feel like not in Canada.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Thanks for the P5R love. We missed the lava streams too, you guys. We just.
Yeah, are you guys coming back soon, or what's going on?
We're not. Listen, I love them. I don't want to be in the same room with them. Not until this stuff is over.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's the same reason you two are you're in iPad land together. It's like we laugh too much.
Just get 2 iPads. Everybody can do that, right?
Like I told you, I barely like you in real life. I'm not going to Zoom with you.
I'm going to say yes. Yeah.
No, but we'll be back. I think once the world rights itself, all the things that we love are going to come back with a vengeance. I really do believe that. Once we get a real grip on this thing, and when life returns to some semblance of normal, I think people are going to want to party. I think they're going to want to hug and hang out and be together. I'm looking forward to 2025.
Licking faces, 2025.
Yeah!
But, that also requires work. I hate to keep saying it, guys, but make sure that you are reaching out to the people that represent you and talking to people who believe in science and fund things so that we can actually get out of our houses at some point. And Deontay, no, we will never have Robbie back on. He is a wild card. He's a wild card, and he's told no tea.
Oh, I know.
He made me a liar.
Only just real talk. Only some political
tea. You have spilled all the tea that is important to share, Robbie. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun, guys. I'm gonna take off before my phone dies. It's about to happen anyway. So
take off.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Robbie.
Be good. Take care.
Thank you, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. 2 Nerds. And it's like that's quite an exit. What's happening?
I just dropped myself. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching. If you are joining us for the first time, we are Between Two Nerds on the NerdsVote channel. Please follow us on social media at NerdsVote and tune in. We have a fantastic guest coming Tuesday night at 6 p.m. And you can also look on our calendars at nerdsvote.com and find out who our guests will be as well. And I promise that our next guest will talk some more. Right?
Tea. Is that what that?
That was more of an ish kind of a thing. But you know what I mean. I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying not to swear so much, especially when my mom's on the feed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure that you head over to our bit.ly, NerdsVote, capital N, capital V, to register to vote and support your post office. Have a great weekend. Be well. Wear your masks. Be safe. Bye, guys. Love you.